Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. I'm wishing you all a wonderful Saturday and a happy Chinese New Year. It is the year of the dragon, so hopefully this is the year for some of you guys that watch the channel regularly. And I want to start this video off by saying a huge thank you to each and every one of you guys that support this channel day in, day out, watch these videos, leave likes and comments. It does not go unnoticed. And we are at a stage now with the subscriber count that we have where we are competing with the channels on a daily basis in the hundreds, multiple hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And that's all down to you guys. So a massive thank you guys and girls, of course. This is again going to be another daily market update. If you are new to the channel, we drop one of these every single day around 1 p.m. UK time to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets, and we've got a lot to get into. We're going to be starting off with what I think is some relevant news. We are going to be predominantly looking at the charts in this video. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin and how that is progressing. Now, we were expecting some upside for Bitcoin that could potentially be completing that right shoulder that we have, that could be a technical pattern that could get triggered, that could see Bitcoin going to around the 150,000 mark. This is in line with everything else that we've looked at externally to Bitcoin that all points to the same direction for the crypto space at large. And actually, we are going to be in this video showing you a number of charts that indicate that alt season is in the, or coming in the near future. And by near future, I mean it's imminent. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin dominance, which is being a lot more, it's playing a little bit hard to get. You know, we want Bitcoin dominance to roll. That is typically in line with how bull markets go. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin goes down. It means Bitcoins go up, and ultimately altcoins do even better. If Bitcoin's going down, typically altcoins are going to get hit a lot harder. So we're looking at that chart. We're going to be looking at others' dominance. We're going to be looking at ETH, BTC, so Ethereum against Bitcoin. That potentially is squeezing and getting ready for a breakout that confirms the other two charts that we'll look at. And then we'll be looking at some Ethereum call options, all centering around about 4,000 for Ethereum. I think Ethereum today is roughly 2,700, something like that, perhaps. And that could be an indication of where the price is going to go. You know, who uses calls and puts? It's typically not retail, it's more institutional. And to kick things off, you know, the news that we're going to be covering is institutional news in regards to people using the Bitcoin spot ETF. So let's start things off and let's dive straight into that. So this is the first little bit of news that I have for you guys, and this is the daily net US spot ETF flows. And you can see yesterday was the second biggest day of inflows to date since the ETF has actually launched. Now, I do have my worries about an ETF and how actually this really allows institutions, I guess, to have a bigger sway than they already perhaps did in regards to the crypto space. And it's kind of a little bit contrary to the whole ethos of what this space was born out of, you know, to kind of move away from institutions and have our own systems. But this is all part and parcel of an asset class becoming exactly that. And you've got to think, most altcoins have absolutely no regulations associated with them. They exist in this gray area, I should say, in the US. In other countries and other jurisdictions and continents, they are a lot more regulated in a positive manner, I must actually say. But you've got to think just how lucky you are to be interested in a asset class before it's even been allowed to do that. You are going to end up with altcoin ETFs. Janet Yellen actually came out this week in front of Congress and said she is going to mandate Congress to legislate the various bodies like the SEC and CFTC to actually come out and get legislation out on all of this. And I think that's bullish as a whole. This industry isn't going away. And ultimately, that's only going to excel things, just like what we've seen with Bitcoin. What I want to do now, guys, is dive over to the charts. So we'll start with the small time frame, and then we're going to progress to the larger time frame. Usually we start on the larger. We're doing things kind of back to front in this video. We like to start with a broader plan, but this is really what we were looking at for Bitcoin, okay? We were looking at a short term, a small head and shoulders, this dotted line anchored around the key level of significance that was our target from the head and shoulders that we had in 2023, the small head and shoulders, which was kind of a micro of what we're now looking at as the macro. And you can see this actually got hit. You had a small continuation pattern here. That ultimately saw Bitcoin running to our target of 45,600 and around about 78. You can see this is perfectly where you actually interacted, and Bitcoin saw a little bit of a dip here, but then went on to push on higher into what is mega resistance that we hope eventually flips as support. And I do think that could be coming next week. I want to give a shout out to somebody who I've taken absolutely great influence from. Somebody that's been in the markets for longer than I've been alive, and somebody that's really helped me become the technical analyzer that I am today. And that is, of course, Mr. Francis Hunt, the crypto sniper. He also was looking at a very similar thing, but he has his head and shoulders, also very identifiable, the smaller head and shoulders that we identified. He's got a broader head and shoulders here. You can see A1 stands for armpit 1, A2 stands for armpit 2, and this actually has a higher projection to around about 48,600, which again, you can't actually see that perfectly, is going to align with what we're looking at for this neckline. And let's go to the bigger time frames and ultimately assess what we're looking at here. So this is not on log. We like to put the charts on log when we're looking at it on the big time frames. You can see this is what we're looking at, and we had some early indications that this right shoulder may be in. We did say it was going to be a shallower one. We were expecting a rest period resistance to act exactly as that, and actually wanting it to act as that, and a pullback to occur back at the start of January. You know, we had the buy the rumor, sell the news stuff. We had the macro headwinds with higher than expected inflationary prints, first of all in Europe, then the US, then the UK. All of that is kind of easing off again, and this is all coinciding with Bitcoin completing or looking to complete. We'll know when it's completed the right shoulder when we get that break in momentum. This pattern that we're looking at. And we did look yesterday at the fact that you have $1.1 billion worth of shorts that get liquidated, i.e. they become forced buyers on the market around about that $50,000 mark, which would see this neckline get taken with momentum and volume in the same manner that you always want to see a technical pattern that's going to the upside, not necessarily to the downside, because things can slip on very low volume. Backed up with momentum. It's basically telling you volume is basically an indication of the conviction behind a move. If something happens on low volume, yeah, you know, it can happen, right? It can just happen with not a lot of input. But if something happens on broad volume, you know that there's someone behind it. You know there's something behind that. And typically it's institutions that have the largest volume. So this is becoming more and more of an institutional game, which is great for somebody like me that's used to trading the traditional markets. I actually prefer trading the traditional markets to crypto, believe it or not. And by trading, I mean trading, not investing. I prefer investing in crypto because of the risk to reward. And you can still apply traditional technical analysis, stage analysis, which is something I teach in the Patreon, where we break the market down into 4 stages to the crypto space. It's very applicable, and we've done very well off it. I mean, we have, I'll give you one altcoin that we have in our portfolio because it's like 250% up for me and my Patreons, which is IMX Immutable X, which has done fabulous for us. We've got multiple altcoins that since we got back into the market last year are 200+% up, and we think this year is going to be even better. So do get on board with that. There's no reason you guys can't replicate that in the same manner. So we are just waiting for things to play out. Now, I did say I wanted to talk a little bit about Altseason, and we're going to go over to the Bitcoin dominance chart to start that off. So Bitcoin dominance, and just in case there's anyone new to the channel, you guys will go, oh, not again. He's bringing up the correlation between the total market cap and its market cap and Bitcoin dominance. But in a bear market, Bitcoin dominance goes down. In a bull market, it goes up. In a bear market, it comes up. In a bull market, it goes down. And not initially though, however, you'll notice the total market cap went up, but Bitcoin dominance still stayed high. And actually you can see that's applicable. This was going up, but Bitcoin dominance was staying stagnant until the real bull kind of took place. And maybe that comes post-halvening. I have so many people telling me, oh, you should have just waited until post-halvening. Well, you'd have missed out on the hundreds of % gains that we've made. So anyway, let's move on from that because I don't want to feel like I'm criticizing anybody. Everyone's got their own opinions. That's fine. And actually, we want that in the markets because ultimately, if someone has an opinion that we think is wrong, we're going to take the arbitrage of that, the right side, hopefully. And markets are all about giving money from one person to another. That's the unfortunate game of markets. And that's why we don't recommend people trading unless they have a sound method. Trading method I prefer is, of course, HVF, which is Francis's own method. And you can go over to his channel and find out a lot more about that. But from an investment point of view, you know, what we're now looking at is in a similar fashion. We're out of this bear market, we believe. And ultimately, we're waiting for this to roll, and we do think you are on the cusp of that, to be quite frank. This was the sort of broader trend that Bitcoin dominance has been in, and we do now think that this is ready to roll. We think this was an invalidation in an uptrend structure, and ultimately, you know, this is going to top out, I believe, somewhere here. It's been persistently high. Remember, Bitcoin dominance is doing well, obviously, on the back end of the news all being about Bitcoin. That's going to shift into altcoin ETFs. They're going to move to a high degree of volume, or to a high degree on lesser volume because of the nature of their small markets and the lack of volume in them. But Bitcoin dominance coming down is going to be that alt season. And this is a factor to be, and a reason to be bullish on the markets. Also, you have the likes of others dominance. This has been a beautiful, beautiful chart. And you can see smaller head and shoulders, just like with Bitcoin predicted, the broader head and shoulders, This is now broke on volume. It's come back for a retest, 2 retests now. This will pick its feet up and you'll see altcoins outside the top 10 move towards 20% of the overall market cap. That aligns with what we think on Bitcoin dominance. Also, you can see Ethereum BTC is squeezing to the upside, and this is going to likely break. This is a symmetrical triangle. You could see some sort of a break like that, which confirms the other things that we're looking at. And we do know a little bit more fundamentally driven that Ethereum call options are very concentrated around about $4,000 for June expiry on Duribit. And you can see this is the call options that we're looking at. So it really is, I'm afraid, just a case of sticking to the plan. We will update you obviously every day on this channel, and we'll look at it from all angles. You know, we had a number of reasons to suspect that this right shoulder was in for Bitcoin that weren't just based on the Bitcoin USD chart. It was also based and has played out on Bitcoin against the SPY, S&P, Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, Bitcoin against gold. We're bullish on gold and the SPY. Remember, our target for the SPY got hit, and it's continued to go further, just like all the other targets for a lot of our stocks. I think one that we were looking at was Spots, or was it Snapchat? I think it might have been, yeah. So this is another one that we've used stage analysis to identify. And you can see, again, head and shoulders here. The same thing that we're looking at for many altcoins. And of course, we were also looking at crypto stocks such as Coinbase. If you think technical analysis doesn't work, guys, you are not following the right person. It's that simple. It does. We prove it daily, and we continue and will continue to prove it because it's what we use to ultimately get our direction on the markets. We're not news and sort of fundamental driven traders. We don't buy things necessarily on fundamentals. We buy them based on what the chart's telling us, and the charts are a representation of what people are doing with their money. I think it's a far more sound method. Also, there was a lot of other stocks out there, something like Hut 8. We're bullish on a lot of crypto stocks, actually. MicroStrategy was another good one. I'm rambling on now, guys, so I will love and leave you after this, but you can see, look at this. And our target for this, we do think will get met. So that's really all I've got for you guys. Always enjoyable to talk with you guys on a Saturday morning, every morning, in fact. And on that note, I am going to love and leave you. Don't forget to become a subscriber. Do go and check out our Patreon. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a smashing Saturday.